First and foremost, I hope everybody is safe and sound and keeping their social distancing. I have been, so I'm doing well over here. My name is Rich Taylor. My website is richtaylorphotography.com, and check me out on Facebook and Instagram as well. I appreciate it. So I've been asked, how do I edit my photos? And this is my first tutorial. I've never done this before. As I go along, I will learn better skills to bring these to you. I want to do a picture-in-picture, but I'm going to work with what I have for now. So again, this is my first time, so bear with me. So I have this picture of my dog. His name is Clancy. And this was exported out of Lightroom. I just did basic minor touch-ups in Lightroom. I did a white balance check. I moved just some highlights, some shadows and things like that. Nothing major. I do most of my work in Photoshop. So within this, I'm going to use one action script. It's called Dodge and Burn. I didn't come up with this. I basically learned this technique from other amazing editors, and I just adapted it to my own. So this works for me, but I am not the creator of it. But it is definitely my own dodge and burn of how I do it. And I'm going to explain different ways to dodge and burn. So let's start with this awesome photo here. Okay, this is my puppy. He's running around. And first I do some levels. Now, you can see my histogram here. Most of the activity is within this range. I normally bring up my mids a little bit, and then I bring down my dark areas here. I happen to really like black, not like grayscale. So I just kind of bring it down, especially in his ears and his tail, and I love that right there. And you can turn this on and off. You can also change the opacity if you want, but I usually get in the ballpark of what I like. I'm going to add in just a little bit of saturation, just a tad. We don't want too much there. And as you can see, these are causing layers here. And we'll do one more adjustment. I'm going to do selective color. So I'm going to bring up my magentas just a little bit. I'm going to add a little yellow into that. I'm going to go to my yellows. I'm just going to add just a tad of yellow because I just want this to have this beautiful orangey yellow tone to it. And then my greens, I guess I can bring up some of my greens just a little bit. And that's always going to be within the cyan and magenta. But that looks good right there. So we can see the difference here of what that has done already. Beautiful. Now, when I work destructive, which means that I will flatten everything step by step. You don't have to do this. I'm comfortable with what I do and how I work, so I don't mind being destructive. So I'm going to flatten those layers into one. And the next thing I'm going to do is sharpen. Now, I do have an action script here. We're not going to use that. We're actually going to go to Filter, and you're going to come down to Sharpen, and you're going to go to Smart Sharpen. I like that one for any type of photograph. So we'll bring it to his face. I normally look at the eyes, and we will see the before and after. So come on, jump up. Of course, having issues now. But it's doing a pretty good job of sharpening it. And if I hit the preview, we'll see it in the photo itself, how much is sharpening up there. Sometimes I'll play with the amount and the radius. Noise reduction, I don't do too much with it. And obviously, I removed the lens blur. You can also play around with the shadows and highlights here. I normally don't because, again, I usually use my action script, but this does a pretty good job. This is how I used to sharpen, and it really does an amazing job. I very rarely have to touch any of this stuff, so I like that. I'm going to keep it. So we are good there. Okay. Okay, so you can see that's beautifully sharpened. The next thing we're going to do is the action script. I will have a link down below that you can download this for free. I normally charge for it, but with what's going on in the world, I strongly believe in paying it forward. And, you know, this is just my way of doing something very, very small just to help out my fellow photographers. So you'll find that link below to download this photo and also this dodge and burn. So before I hit this, I'm going to show you the old way of dodging and burning. I used to create a second layer, and I used to go over here. Now in this tool here, you'll see your dodge and burn. You can go to shadows, midtones, highlights, exposures 20%, And I used to go a lot more than this and just really kind of darken it up in areas here. Then I would go and go to my dodge and lighten up, and then I would just change my opacity here. That's an old way of doing it, and it's difficult because maybe the dark areas are great, but the light areas are too high, and since it's all in one layer, it's hard to blend. And you could do masking stuff, but again, through what I've learned, I found a way to do it much better, and this is based on other people's amazing experience at dodging and burning. So I'm going to run this script, and you will see it's going to create these 4 layers. It's also going to change the photo from color to black and white. Why? We see shadows and highlights better in black and white than in color. So this is just here for the time being while we just kind of do these first dodging and burning. Now you'll see these little here, this is the curves. So you can see this is dropping down. So that's going to add some darkness to the shadows. Same thing here, it's just going to be a harder shadow, and same thing up here is going to be more for the lights and then extreme highlights here. These are all masks. Right now they're all set to black, which means that they're not showing the effect on its layer. So right now I'm on the low layer and nothing's being shown. So I'm going to select a white brush, and I'm going to change my opacity to 10%. And I'm going to use a soft brush. I'm going to make it big, and I'm just going to start painting in those darker areas. So each time I go over it, you'll see it get a little bit darker. Now in big areas like this, I'll use a nice big brush. I'll come down here and I'll start adding in some darker areas down here, no problem. And just get that all done. And now I'm going to go into him. Now, if I was really working on this and it wasn't a tutorial, I would actually get very detailed in here. But for this, I'm just kind of going to go through very quick. So any area that I see that's dark, even under here, you see all the shadows. I have wraparound light, but it's a little too much. So I'm going to switch it to a black brush. I'm going to pull that off a little bit. And I'm going to go back to my white brush just to paint in the rest. And I think that looks good. So now I'm going to go to my high, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab the areas that have highlights. Obviously, we have some sun hitting right here, a little bit there. We may take that out. A couple little spots here on these leaves. And again, I would actually go and be more detailed with this if I wasn't doing it as a tutorial. But for what we're doing, I think it's going to work beautiful. Okay, all right, let me get into here. Now I see some highlights here, under here. I'm going to try to brighten this up a little bit. Perfect. That nice speck of hair right there. Go on that edge. And I think we're looking good right there. So to see what we've done, I've grouped it. Just turn up this group on and off, and then you can see the difference. So I'm going to delete this black and white because I don't need it. And now we're back to color, and we can see what I am doing here. So you can see I'm really making those shadows stand out and the highlights pop. Beautiful contrast within the photo, and it's really bringing your eye to the subject, which is my dog. So now I'm going to go to the extreme high, and this is where I'm going to add in like extra highlights. So I'm going to go up in here a little bit. I'm going to come to his face. Add it in there, maybe down here a little bit. These edges right here where that light's hitting. Beautiful. On the bone, I got a little light. And I'm just getting a little more right there. Maybe that was too much. Let's tone that down. If it's too much, just change your opacity. I'm going to change it down to 5% and just come in there. That's much better. I'm going to go to my load, very low, and don't forget to change your opacity back down to 10%. And I'm going to start getting these edges out here because this is deeper in the woods there. Beautiful. I'm going to bring this right here, and I'm loving how that looks. And again, it's in this group, so we can turn it on and off. Now here's a beautiful thing that we can do. I'm seeing way too much light on him. I'm going to go to the extreme high and I'm going to change that opacity. I'm going to bring that down because I don't want blowouts on his fur. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit, and now we can see the difference there. That looks great. I love it. Perfect. Okay, again, I work destructively because I trust what I do, so I'm going to flatten it. You don't have to. Okay, so I'm going to now add in another adjustment layer. I'm going to go to Photo Filter. And it automatically is going to select the warm filter 85, which I happen to like. And I'm basically going to add some orange into my photo. Now, if you know my work, you know I like orange. Other photographers, they like adding in cyan into their photos, which is a more blue hue to it. I like magenta and just having things look a little more on the orange side. So I'm going to bring this up, and I'm paying attention to the background, not necessarily my pup. And I'm really liking it right there. And again, I can turn this on and off to see what I'm doing. But it's doing another thing. It's adding a lot of orange into his fur, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go to my mask here. I'm going to set my brush on black. I'm going to go to 100%. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to mask that orange off of him. And you can see how that orange is starting to come off. And again, I'm doing this a little quicker than I normally would. Now, to see your selection, I hold down the Command key. I think on PC it's Control. And I go to my mask, and you see this black box that goes around it when you hit it. That's going to create marching ants. And you can see I missed some spots around here. So it just kind of shows me where I need to be. I hit Command D, I deselect that, and I'm just going to paint where those little spots were. So now when I turn this on and off, you can see it's affecting the background but not him. And I like that. Now if I wanted to take one more step, I could add in another photo filter, make it very warm. And what I can do is select this, go here, and then I'm going to fill it with black, which is optional for use, Control on PC, delete, and it will fill the entire background with black. So basically it's hiding that effect, and you can see it's just really on the dog. So now I have these two layers, and with this here I'm going to change the opacity so that on him at 0% there's no filter on him, and if I bring it up it's on add filter. Now why would I do this? Well, this area is so orange that without this he doesn't really look like he's in the environment. There's too much cyan in it for this very magenta or orange looking area. So I'm basically just adding a little orange into him just to hit these edges around here and his fur around here, just to make it look like, so he's really there and not like it was photoshopped in. Okay, I like that. I am going to save it. And the last thing I will do is I'm going to create another layer. I'm going to fill it with black. I'm going to bring this down to soft light. And I'm going to create another mask. I'm going to go to black. Opacity is 100%. And I am going to use a soft brush. And I'm going to start getting rid of some of that black that's around it. Okay, basically creating a vignette. This is a handmade vignette. I'm going to change this opacity down a little bit, and let's see where that's at. Okay, I like it. I want a little more out down here and a little curvy over here. Let's see how that looks. Oh, I like that. Maybe just down a little bit more, and we should be good to go. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I do want to do one more thing. I'm going to flatten that out. I'm going to actually go to my, right here. I'm going to go to my dodge tool, and I'm going to make up here a little extra bright. So I'm at 10% on the exposure. Let me change this to midtones and just bring that up a little bit. Yeah, I like that better because that light's really shining through there. And I'm actually going to go to my burn tool, Midtones, again, let's just go down to 10% on that. And I'm going to come down here a little bit and just get this a little darker here. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Okay, and I think we are done. So again, this is my first time doing a tutorial. This is all new to me, and I'm usually just the one behind the scenes and just working. So I'm glad you bared with me, and as I do these more, I'll get more comfortable speaking, and I'll learn new video techniques, so everything will be crisper and cleaner. When I get to my new location, I'm going to set up a camera, and so you'll be able to see me as well. But I hope everyone's doing well. Please be safe. And again, in the comments below, I did include that action script, and I'd love to see the work that you guys create. So see what you can do, and definitely share it with me. All right, be well. Thank you.